Hey, yes, yeah. It is Thursday. It is 9. So it's UK Cowboys time. Let me move my phone. How are we doing, Mr. Lawn, all the way up in sunny Scotland? How are we, sir?
I wouldn't say it's sunny Scotland. It's been absolutely dreary today, but yeah, I'm doing not too bad.
Yeah, and joining us all the way from it's definitely sunny Dallas. It's
Yeah,
always
no,
sunny in Dallas.
it's
We got
not
the
today. It's not.
what? Oh, why? What Fahrenheit are we up to at the moment? Like 100, which is
No,
cold in Dallas.
not even. I think it's something like 70 degrees today.
Oh,
So
that
That's
is quite
still
cool.
a hell of a lot warmer than here.
yeah,
Yeah, that's our summer. That's a hot day in the UK.
really.
Yeah.
Oh,
How are
good.
we doing, Hackman? We haven't spoken to you in a while, sir. How you doing?
Hey, man, Mike, I've been good. Everything is good, man. No complaints at all. I guess the only complaint I got is that we should all be taking a shot right now because
Mm.
Ezekiel Elliott got released yesterday. So we should be paying homage to one of the great running backs in Dallas Cowboys franchise history. So
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm still a little bent out of shape about that. But what about you guys, man? How are you? Where's the gang? Where is
Yeah.
everybody? I get you and Lauren. Not that I'm complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm just, where are the guys?
Well, I mean, Paul is supposed to be joining us tonight.
Okay.
He's been away in Turkey,
Okay.
having his teeth done. I know that might sound strange to you, but it is a thing that people go to Turkey to go see a dentist.
What?
I know.
Mike, how many dentists did he fly over going to Turkey?
It is a genuine thing that people here in the UK go to Turkey for some. They call it turkey teeth.
Turkey teeth. I like it. I've never heard that before.
Yeah,
Turkey teeth.
yeah.
Okay.
We're getting you
Turkey teeth.
into the culture of the UK. Yeah, so he might be. He is supposed to be joining us. So we'll
Okay.
wait and see. He's probably fallen asleep or he's busy doing something else, but he will join us. But yeah, it is. Although we're calling it a draft show, is what we do on a Thursday. There's
Okay.
been so much news that has hit Dallas Cowboys headquarters, and what a week to get you on to give us all the inside information of what's happened this week. We will try and get onto some draft discussions, like what these moves, how they will transpire to the draft, and what that means. But we do have to obviously start with the big news. You've already kicked us off with it, Hackman. It's the big news about Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, man.
I mean that is big news for everybody. Like I do on my Twitter. I mean, I kind of tag you in some stuff every now and then. Heck, I do try and do draft stuff every day, like a little bit of
Yeah.
it. Yesterday, I was so depressed, didn't even bother. I was
I
like,
don't blame
no,
you. I don't
too
blame you.
sad,
I was the same
too
way.
sad, too sad. My son is 5 years old, and I told him today, and he was asking quite a lot, like, will he have another team? Has he got a job? Where is he gonna go?
No.
Yeah. So, and his first, 5 years old, his first Dallas Cowboys piece of merchandise was actually Ezekiel Elliott top. So
So how old is your son?
he's 5.
He's 5. So um I've been there before. My son, when he was 5, it was Marion Barber. God bless
Oh,
his soul.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
My
of course.
son loved Marion Barber. So
The
his first
Barbarian.
Cowboys jersey was a Marion Barber jersey. So
Mm.
the day that I think, traded or released Marion Barber, I'm sorry, I don't remember, but me and my wife had to huddle up and figure out how we were going to explain this to a 5-year-old. So
Yeah.
look, man, I don't feel, look, I hate that you have to do that. I've been there. I've done that. It's torture.
Yeah, it
yeah.
wasn't fun. I will be honest with you. So yeah. Um Hard times, but I mean, I could say what's everybody's initial reaction, but I think it's fair to say everyone's initial reaction is shock, right?
Yeah. Well, look, it's Mike, guys. I mean, Lauren, as you know, we've been talking. You guys are big into fantasy football over there, and don't you think I've forgotten about you posting my record on fantasy? By the way, the only reason what never mind. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I got revenge in my heart about the fantasy deal. Okay, I just want you to know this. But
all I'll say, right, in
what
defense,
are you gonna say, Mike? What are you gonna say, Mike?
I'm going to defend you, right?
Okay.
Defend your honor, because you're like a long lost brother to me, Hackman.
Okay.
But to defend your honor, I will say that when we got you in, it was unfair because you were on in week 1, which is a hard weekend against the Buccaneers, where everything just went in all different shapes and sizes there.
No, that was not my shining moment at all. But look, man, I was when it came down to Zeke, you start to recognize for some reason in the NFL, guys don't age like the Walter Paytons, the Emmitt Smiths of the world anymore. I don't know what happened. I mean, with the advancement of sports medicine and as hard as these guys work out, you would think that there would be a certain amount of durability of, when you look at Emmitt Smith's numbers when he got to year 7, 8, 9. I mean, this guy is still
phenomenal,
putting up 1,000-yard seasons. And I think it gets lost. And I know for sure for me, when Ezekiel Elliott first came on the scene, man, I was like, we have a running back that's in the same vein of greatness as an Emmitt Smith, as some of the great names. And let's not look, even since 2016, he's number 1 in rushing in the NFL. So I don't want to sit here and pretend as though he didn't have a great career. He's still in that sphere of having a very great career. Even, again, we don't know what the next move is going to be for him, guys. But, Ezekiel Elliott was phenomenal, man. And it just seems like these last 3 years, it was just harder and harder to see the Zeke of old. And a guy that was literally that everybody says, oh, he's a bell cow running back, but we just didn't see the extra yards. We didn't see the breakaway yards that we're used to seeing from Zeke. And we didn't see the speed anymore. And so, I hate, but I think with the emergence of Tony Pollard, it was a business decision and the Cowboys had to make it.
I think this is. I posted last night. This is one of the things. I mean, obviously, I started watching the NFL before the salary cap, and you had players that, like your uncle Heckma, played for one team because the team kept hold of them, and you can argue the rights and wrongs of that. But nowadays, fans, it literally is a sort of one contract, and you're probably then moving on to another team.
Right.
And some fans are fans of the player and they follow the player to various teams, so they don't. You don't get 100% Cowboy fan. You sometimes see them going off, and God knows who they'll go and follow now or whatever. But that's one of the sad things about it. And Zeke has been the heart and soul of this offense. Other than some of the controversies he's had, he's kept himself clean. He's there's never been any true concerns about him, and it's just sad to see he's given his all to the Cowboys, and wish him best for the future. But
it is the ugly side. This is for definite when you see it, and because a lot of people, like you were just saying, Hackman. In fact, I can even remember listening to you on one of the radio shows over there, and people, because if you remember, do you remember like the first, say, 3 games when Zeke came in 2016? People were like, I thought he was supposed to be this amazing running back. What's happening? He doesn't seem to be the guy we were all. And I can remember it was you saying it, Hackman. You were like, look, just give him a chance. Just wait. Wait. And I can still remember. I can still hear your voice. And then all of a sudden, then it was just that explosion. And you're seeing him doing things like hurdling over players and just taking over games. But I think that the thing that was most shocking that I liked from Zeke was seeing these just what looked like what was going to be a negative play, and somehow you don't know how that you see the pile, he gets up out of the pile, and it's like you're thinking, oh right, okay, so 2nd and 10. He gets up and it's 2nd and 6, And you're
Yeah.
like, how is that even possible? How did you manage to get 4 yards halfway to the ground with like 10 men on top of you? I think that's what's going to be missed the most, as well as the intangibles, like, you know, like the locker room presence people talk about, his character, the type of person he is and the leadership he brought in, as well as when you think like a lot of the plays, we're talking 2016, so it's 6-7 years on now, right? And it's just, you know, like that foundational presence that's in there, the familiarity that people have, and it's like this, the familiar face. All of a sudden, that's gone.
Right. No,
and
it
that's
is
the bit you can't judge.
No, and I think in a certain degree, if you think about how young the Cowboys are as a team, for offense and defense, they got a ton of young guys on that team, and all of those guys have grown up watching Ezekiel Elliott do his thing as a Cowboy. I mean, these guys like Michael Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, like they've seen halter top Zeke when they were in high school, when they were in college. They know who he is, so the respect just comes with it. And I think also for Zeke, people don't. I think as a pro, they forget the kind of college career that he had at Ohio State. Zeke was a dog. I mean, he was, man, the breakaway speed, the game against Alabama, the game against Oregon. I mean, this guy had a phenomenal college career, and I mean, just completely tore up the Big Ten as a running back. And I think when Zeke came into the league, for me, I mean, I had no doubts about his ability. I had no doubts about what he was going to do. He set the tone immediately. And I think in that first Seattle scrimmage when he ran into Cam Chancellor, if you guys can remember that. And I think that was the moment that the light bulb came on and everybody was like, yes, you know, we've got a guy that, you know, is a bona fide hard-nosed running back. And I just think when you think about all the great running backs that come through the National Football League, I mean, in Lauren, you were talking about before the salary cap era to now, Ezekiel Elliott has some of those same characteristics: his ability to run away from guys, his ability to catch out of the backfield, his ability to block, and so a complete back. When you look at this draft, when you look at the running backs that are out there right now, they have certain aspects to their game. Either they're powerful or they're really fast. They're not the combination of all of it. And I think the closest that you're going to get to that is the kid Bijan Robinson from the University of Texas. And even he in his game, because I watch him. I mean, I'm here in Texas, so I can just turn on TV. He's always on television. And there's some things about his game that I've said, okay, like the kid is really good. Don't get me wrong, but he's no Ezekiel Elliott. So it's a lot of guys like that. And it's just, man, I think the sad part about it is, you know, I've watched so many great players. It doesn't matter if it's basketball, if it's boxing, if it's football. You see a guy come out and he is great. He is the best that you've ever seen him. And then as time goes on, you start to see the decline. And for me, I hate that, because I'm like, the greatness that he had as a running back, I don't know if we'll ever see that again.
Yeah. And you think as well that it was a time as well, when you think when they drafted Zeke, and this is something I tweeted, that you think like what was going on with Tony Romo, right? He's getting injured. We're seeing these injuries, and we're all, every time he gets sacked, we're sucking in air through our teeth, and we're hoping he's getting up. And sometimes he didn't. No. And you think hope at that stage for the fan base was quite low. You know, the morale was quite, because we're just like, oh God. And then all of a sudden, then we get Zeke, and he just seems, and even Jason Witten, if you remember, said like, yeah, him along with the other young guys, they're like injecting like youthfulness back into this team, and it brought the fan base a load of hope. And especially the Pittsburgh game, you think of the Steelers game, all of a sudden fans, that hope was rejuvenated and they were back up on their feet, and it was very, very big. And what makes this sad, and you will know this best, Heckman, when I say this, that I find it strange that when you think of running backs, the position, very devalued in the NFL, yet they don't get paid to that, for the fact that you know, they've devalued in terms of their pay, yet they take the most punishment. They're always injured. They probably touch the ball more than any other player apart from the center. And their careers are very short-lived. That, like, by the age of 28, these players are on the decline. You know, like Zeke's age now. That's it. That's their peak over with. And you just think it's almost unfair to these guys who play this position that they get treated that way.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, Mike. I have a hard time with that statement that you just made. And let me tell you, I do. I have a hard time with it because I call myself like a football. I'm a football purist. I love football at its base form. I feel as though this whole it's become cliche now. People say, you know, they say if you say it over and over and over again, eventually it becomes the truth. And so people have started to say, oh, they're devaluing the running back position and devaluing the running back position. And all of a sudden, everybody says, we don't value the running back. And in order to win football games in the National Football League, I don't care how long this league continues to operate, based off the rules and parameters of football, you have to run the ball.
Definitely.
You have to run the ball, and you have to have an effective running game. We've gotten to the era now with coaching that this has become cliche. It's a passing league. You know, throw the ball all over the park. You want to throw it 55 times. That gets the people in the seats, but it does not win you championships.
Exactly.
It does not win you championships. And I don't care who you are, how far you go, or what you think about your team, or how far you think they're going to go. You're not going to go far without a running game. Case in point, the Philadelphia Eagles. I hate the Philadelphia Eagles. If you don't know nothing about me, I hate the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay, did I not say that I hate the Philadelphia Eagles?
Yep.
But
we heard you, Hack. We heard you.
Okay, but I have to say this: their running game. They are. Did you see the way that they just ran the ball down teams' throat? It's demoralizing when you get to the fourth quarter and you have a running game that's coming after you. Then that leaves everything open behind you. And I think that what you were saying about Zeke, he injected a balance to your calls where, look, man, defense was so worried about 21 having the ball that they forgot to, guard the deep third on the field, or forgot to cover the middle of the field. And that made it so much easier for everybody else to do their job. I think Ezekiel Elliott, when he was at his best, I think we saw our best Dak Prescott. Am I wrong?
Yeah, definitely. And Go on, Lon, because I got a really good question to ask both of you, right? But go on if you're going to say something there, Lon.
No. I mean, I completely agree. I mean, and part of the reason why Philadelphia's passing game works is because they've got this option play, so they fake the handoff, and then you've got the possibility of Jalen Hurts running the ball as well, and that just sets everything up. The defenders all come up for that, and receivers get behind it. The running back, although it's devalued, and case in point, as DJ Dog's saying here, on terms of talent, Bijan Robinson is a top 5 guy, but he's not going to go within the top 5 picks. He's probably not even going to go top 15. He
may not even go in the first.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's question marks about that, but and obviously we've not had a formal interview with him as well, so it's looking like we're not even thinking about him at 26. We've spoken to the other Texas running back, but the running game is the main part of it, and you've got to have guys that are able to stay. The value of Zeke isn't in the last couple of years. Certainly, probably hasn't been his running ability, because it has tailed off. But the blocking ability, that's another. You've got the guys that are saying that the 6th offensive lineman on the offensive line being the tight end and all that.
Right.
Zeke's number 7 then.
Right.
Yeah. True.
And Dak would probably be just as banged up as Tony Romo ever was if Zeke wasn't there. And God help us what we're going to see this season.
Yeah, well, here's one. You were talking about the Zeke in Ohio State. So obviously we know about the offensive line for Dallas and how they were trying to build it up and they were trying to protect Romo. And that was, I think, the main focal point of what Zeke was. Because in Ohio State, here's one for you, Heckma. He was asked to pass block 138 times whilst playing in college. How many sacks do you think he allowed over those 138 snaps?
0.
Correct.
0.
There you go. There you go. And you know that transferred into the NFL, and then I know obviously there's still things that happened regardless, which then got Dak in. But when I was saying about the devaluation of the running back position, I don't mean as generally the position. I mean as the player.
Right.
The players are just short-lived. They just seem to be throw them in. Let's see how much use we can get out of them. They're, primarily the best portion of a running back's career is their rookie contract. And after that, it's more of a, throw it away, get the next guy in. We have to have a running back. People know this, and we know it because we tried to deal with that post DeMarco Murray when we tried to get, like the likes of Run DMC and what have you in. And so we know what it's like. But here's a question for you. And this is what I think is maybe what's been overlooked and maybe the most important thing about having Zeke in is having Zeke in, and you almost touched on it, Heckma, the question I was going to ask, is the most vital part of having Zeke in the fact that he helped Dak develop into the quarterback he is today? That thanks to him being in there, we now have Dak as what he is.
I think if Dak wasn't paid like a top 10 quarterback in the National Football League, you could make that comment. But because of the money that you paid Dak, you can't attach that to him. Dak stands alone by himself now, and Dak has proven that he can, his arm and what he does. It wasn't until last year's previous season that you even became worried about Dak Prescott and ball security. But you're starting to worry about ball security now. But I think Dak has shown that he can be a premier passer of the football. And he hasn't always had the production of Zeke in those years as well. So look, I think they go hand in hand. You asked Troy Aikman, did Emmitt Smith make him a better running back? I mean, better quarterback? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that's it. That's the only way to answer that question. But I think as the years have gone on, I think that because of the way that the league has changed, Dak had to show more of his passing ability than any of those quarterbacks from those other eras ever had to prove, because they're just throwing the ball so many times now.
Yeah, so very true. So last question on Zeke then, guys. What has been, and everybody at home, give us your answer too and bring them up, Lon. What has been your best memory of Zeke? The highlight moment. When you think of Zeke, you immediately go to this. What is that moment? If you need a moment to think, I can give you mine.
Go ahead with yours.
I've got a few, but for me, and it's funny, it's the screen passes in both San Francisco and Pittsburgh. Were almost carbon copies. I think they were both 83-yard screen passes, and Dallas haven't been a screen team since Tom Landry was forced away from the sidelines. But these were absolutely so well drawn up, and Zeke screaming down the sideline. That was it. And that Pittsburgh game as well. I mean, that sort of final drive as well. I think you posted the screenshot of it, and the blocking on that. And then Zeke was basically 1-on-0. He had the whole field to himself.
That was it. That is a good moment. I'll give you mine, and it starts right at the very start. For me, the first highlight that I always think to straight away immediately is being drafted and Mama Elliott screaming with her fist pumping, going, yeah! Brilliant moment. That's the love of a mother when we're coming up to Mother's Day as well.
Right. Yep. No, that's man, I have so many.
There are loads.
There really are. The ones you just touched on, the Pittsburgh, the play in Pittsburgh, like that that's a fan favorite. Everybody loves that play. I think that was that moment where you said there are several moments in that season, but that was just one of them where you're like, man, this dude is special. His ability to break away and just run down the sideline, that was classic. But one of my Zeke moments, the one in Seattle that I told you about in the preseason, but also it was the game against Atlanta, and it was on the 1 yard line. I think, man, it was probably 3 years ago, if you guys remember this. DeMonte KZ was at free safety, and he tried to take on Zeke in the hole.
Oh, yes.
That was the watermelon game.
And
yes,
Zeke,
it was.
Zeke folded DeMonte KZ like a lawn chair. And that was that moment where it showed that when you have a running back with that kind of power, like it was to me that was prime. I didn't know at the time that I was watching Zeke in his prime, but that was prime Zeke right there. And what a monster run that was. And it just, over the years, guys, he's just been so consistent at those 3rd and 1s or 4th and goal or anywhere in the goal line. And that's where I think any team in the National Football League that's looking at him right now, they probably are wanting him specifically for those reasons. Like you said, Lauren, his ability to block, his ability to get out in the flat and still catch the ball, his ability to pick up short yardage, but how deadly he is on the goal line. So let's just throw a name out there. If you're the Kansas City Chiefs, right? I don't know. You got a quarterback you want to protect. You got short yardage you need to get. Just look at a team. I'm telling you, man, Zeke he's still able to get things done, and specifically, like Lauren said, in protecting the quarterback.
Yeah, and do you know what's funny is you was like talking about this. We was at an NFL UK event, and one of our closest friends are actually randomly with the UK Giants. I know that's random, but a bit of commonality. And we was talking, and they were saying before that in terms of a running back, if you had to have a guy on those 3rd down situations, they would take Zeke over Saquon Barkley. Very honest answer. And I was just like, it's a good point now when you think about it, because Saquon's always looking for the home run, isn't he? Where Zeke will just go, no, I've got the vision, I've got the power, I'm going to hit the hole.
Yeah. No, that's a Giants fan that wants to be a Cowboy fan. I like it.
they might be secretly. But yeah, I mean, some other good ones when you think about it is the Red Kettle, the first moment where we ever saw him jump into the salvation.
That
was great. A moment. And what was funny is that then there was the fine that came with it, and then from that moment on, it's become a ritual. So you think like Thanksgiving with that Red Kettle, that's never going away, and that was started with Zeke. I think some other moments as well is Dak trying to do an interview while Zeke is blowing spitballs at him.
Oh, yeah.
You just think that. And I think in some ways, I don't think it'll just affect Dak on the field, but you can sure as hell think, because there's that brotherhood between those two, very, very close, very obvious as well. I think it is going to affect him, perhaps, like off the field as a person, because he's going to be missing he's missing a friend, is what he's missing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
so,
I believe that.
Yeah. So, yes. So, for now, as I said, I don't think that's the end of Zeke. And, knowing what Zeke is like, he will not go quietly into the night.
Take a shot for Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah. So I'm going to be wearing his jersey all weekend before he gets put into a frame with all the others.
As long as he doesn't become an Eagle, he'll be okay with me.
I don't think he would ever do that. I don't think he would do that to us.
Don't do that, Zeke.
Don't follow DeMarco Murray's trails.
Don't do that.
So let's get on to some other news. Obviously, the other players we've lost: Connor McGovern, Luke Gifford, Noah Brown. The one thing I will say of those 3 other guys, when I see Noah Brown moving on, not only is it like, oh, okay, the other side of me was cheering because this is a 7th round pick and a guy just like, like the distance travel type guy, that how far you've come to be here, and that he's just still willing to just grind and get it on. I think for Noah Brown, brilliant move. What do you think?
Lauren?
Obviously, we're missing a part of our special teams now, and he had flashes last season. Equally, he probably cost us the Jacksonville game, and there was a few other games that, similar drops, that sort of thing. And that was there the entirety of his career. Now, he's had a good career with us. The first couple of years, I mean, anytime he was on the field, you knew it was going to be a run. He was basically on as a Des decoy and basically be a run blocker. You weren't expecting him to catch passes, and that's why 43 passes that he caught last season were a career high for him. So, I feel good that he's gone off somewhere else for his own career.
Yeah.
Sad that we're missing him for special teams, and that's probably preempted by one of the other re-signings that we've had today.
Mm-hmm.
But wish him all the best, to be honest.
Yeah, you're quite right. The big part, like you said, I think what you saw with him with the fumbles and the drop passes is, yeah, he's just missed the sad part. You see, he's done that on purpose. Yeah. So we'll bring him in. I think with the Noah Brown thing, you kind of seen what you expect from, like, say, a wide receiver 4. That as the season went on, the consistency started to waver. But what do you think on the Noah Brown move, Heckma?
Yeah, I love Noah Brown. You guys got to understand, I have an affinity for underdogs. I love guys that work their ass off and then ended up becoming good players. I thought that for his talent and his abilities, he maximized them. He did what you would have wanted him to do in a player that you've taken and you've developed into being what Noah Brown has become. Think about how many contracts Noah Brown has had with the Cowboys. And that's true. That's a testament to his hard work and, Lauren, what he's done on special teams. I mean, that's the way that he made this team, was through, cutting his teeth on special teams. So he was able to earn those shots in the offense. But it became apparent at a certain time in the season, maybe it was Jacksonville that you pointed out, that they were probably relying on him a little too much. I don't know what he was showing in practice. There was something that he was doing to get that opportunity. So, but it was, and I don't want to say the moment's too big for him. What I'm saying is they schemed him up in certain situations, and they should have been going to CD. They should have been going to a healthier Michael Gallup. And I think everybody throughout the season, that was the one thing you kept pointing out in the wide receiver room, was like, we're not getting the type of production that we want consistently out of the wide receiver group. But I think Noah Brown is one of those guys that's worked his butt off. I'm going to always pull for Noah Brown. I don't care who he plays. As long as he doesn't play for the Philadelphia Eagles, he's going to be all right with me. And I mean that. I seriously mean that. Any other team, you're right. He's got 31 other teams he can go to, and I'm still going to, if I hear Noah Brown does something good, I'm going to clap my hands. All right, but if he ever goes to Philly, he's dead to me. Okay.
Yeah, man. I'm with you, and because like I said this time, when I seen it, it was fantastic to see. You just want to see a guy, like I said, the distance traveled to just keep grinding, and that's what he's done, and I like it. And it's good to see you, Paul. You missed out on the sad part. We've all been on the big heel at the first start of the show talking about Zeke, but we're just going to talk now about the guys who have returned. So we'll start first of all with Tony Pollard on the franchise tag. Do we think the Cowboys are going to try and get a long-term deal done before July 14th, or is he playing on the tag?
I bloody hope so. That's what I'm saying. I hope it's not going to be one of those scenarios that he's just going to rely on the franchise tag, and that's like next thing we know, it's next year, the following season, we're back to square one. So.
Hey, Paulie.
Yes.
Let me see those turkey teeth.
Oh, for God's sake. Look
there
they are. Look at that.
Oh, my God. Sexy. I love it.
Yeah, great. Wonderful. Yeah.
Give him one shot. Give him one shot. I love it.
Fine.
I didn't know, Paul, I didn't know that was a thing that you guys fly to Turkey to, get your teeth done.
Yeah, we'll put it this way. If I was to get the procedure here in the UK, it would have cost me about £16,000. So that's about nearly $20,000.
Yeah.
So how much is it in Turkey?
£2,500. So just over $3,000.
Oh yeah, you fly to Turkey. Yeah, you get on the plane. Yeah, it's a
no-brainer.
It's just what?
And that's including hotel.
Are you serious?
Seriously, yeah.
I'm on my way. I'm on my way right now. What are we talking about? Well, I was telling the guys, I said, damn, just imagine how many dentists you flew over going to Turkey. I know why you flew over that many dentists
all those dentists.
That's crazy. That is crazy. Yeah. I got a cousin. that flew all the way to the Dominican Republic to get this. I guess, people are getting their bodies done now. So they get lipo and all that stuff. She flew all the way to the Dominican Republic to get it done. And I'm like, why? You could have went to Miami, California. And then she told me the price tag of what it was in Dominican Republic. I was like,
it's the exact same scenario.
That's why you go.
Yeah. So it's like there's Bulgaria, Turkey, all those parts like in Europe, they'll just do it for so much cheaper. And it's same with like the Dominican Republic and Mexico towards the US. So same scenario.
Oh man, that is awesome. But you guys, hey, Mike, you were asking about Tony Pollard. I'm gonna try to keep you. I'm trying to keep you honest. But you're talking about Tony Pollard, and I love Tony Pollard. I hated the way that he left last season. Think about it like this:
injured, yeah.
That's not just injured. His leg, he snapped his fibia. Okay, so that's the guys, and just being fair. That's the only question that I have about Tony Pollard this season. How healthy is he going to be? We don't.
Is there any news coming out of the headquarters?
I haven't heard a peep. I haven't heard a peep about. I think the tag was a place setter. If you think about it, guys, and I'm sure y'all been talking about this, and because you could see the writing on the wall with the amount of money that Ezekiel Elliott was getting paid and what Tony Pollard was up for. There was no way that they were going to pay $26 million just to the backfield, right? Yeah. That wasn't going to happen. And so someone was going to be let go. It's Zeke. He gets cut. Tony Pollard gets tagged. But I wanted to see if the Cowboys were going to allow Tony Pollard to test the market himself, to see if to see what other teams value exactly. Where do they value him? And you see the same thing, and not to drag Lamar Jackson into this, by no means do they have the similar situation. But what I think Baltimore is trying to do is they're not going to hedge the bets against themselves, right? So bet against themselves. Yeah. They're going to allow other NFL teams to tell them where they place value. And as you see, NFL teams are just like, nope, do it yourself. We're not gonna do it for you. You do it, and I think Tony Pollard would have had a market. But Mike, just like you alluded to earlier, the devaluing of the running back position, essentially, what team was going to be willing to pay $15-14 million a year or $16 million a year for the services of a running back that you're not even sold on if he can be an every down back like the back you had.
Yeah, it is an issue. And do you think, though, Hackma, because of the question marks and because they can wait on the franchise tag till July, so that gives you a chance to see what all the free agents do in terms of where they move and what the NFL values the running back position at. Plus, you have the NFL draft where you can look to see what you're going to do with the running back position on your roster as well, and what the other teams do. Do you think as well that what that does is the franchise tag place sets Pollard in there for now until you can get further down the line and all this movement happens? Plus, you get to see how he's getting healthier and what the timeline is. And then you go in with your long-term deal before that deadline. Do you think that's perhaps what the Cowboys are doing?
Well, if you have that if you can make that move, then I think it serves the Cowboys to do that. Because then you're just kicking the can down the road just to see what the next thing is going to be. But if you're not able to get that in the draft, and then you have to come back to the table with Tony Pollard and you're not able to get a deal done and he has to play under a franchise tag. That's where we got into this situation like this with Dak. We've done this before, right? I've seen this movie before, and it never ends well for the Cowboys. So if you can get a deal done with Tony Pollard that makes sense for the team, why not? Why not make that move? Why not pay him as you see him as potentially one of the elite running backs in the league? And come on now, you've got to see Tony Pollard in that vein, because not only does he have value running the ball, he also has value catching the ball. The biggest question mark is, can he be a power running back? Can he be that 3rd and 1 guy? Can he be a 17-game, 19-20 game running back that you need in this league? Yeah. That's the question mark.
Yeah, 20 plus touches the game, and all the rest, plus the injuries, like you say. But I think as well, another part of it is, like we were saying, that the most productive part of a running back's career is their rookie contract. Obviously, that's gone. Good thing is there's not much tread taken off Pollard's tire, if you like, because he hasn't been utilized all that much, apart from last year, where he's the most, and even then it was only 50% of the offensive snaps.
Right.
But he is getting up there in age already. So do you think perhaps they just go in, well, we'll use the franchise tag and then we'll see what we get beyond this? Because after that, he's going to be, you're paying for what he was, not what he'll become.
That's tricky, Mike. Man, you must work in the front office over here. Jeez. That's a slippery slope. That's a slippery slope, because what's happening is when you do a player like that, and that's really driving a hard bargain with a player that has really panned out to be what you want, and you want to be able to reward guys in your system. Now, I hadn't heard anything about Tony Pollard saying, I want to get paid like the top tier guys in the league. I hadn't heard that come out, but I'm sure he wants a deal that's fair. And based off of where he was in his rookie contract to what he would be making under the franchise tag, that's $10 million. I think it's a $10 million price tag,
big swing
for 1 year. And where the Cowboys are right now and the salary cap and all of that, that's an easy deal that can be made. It's just, do they value him there? Do they want to say, give him a $12-13 million deal, or even upwards of 14-15? I mean, that's the bigger question, because you really just got $16 million off the books.
Yeah, it is wild. Because I think the price tag you're giving is too high as well. I want him less than 10 a year.
Less than 10.
Yeah. You're
not gonna get him for less than 10 if the franchise tag is $10 million.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. No, man, you're gonna have to give him more than that.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, but that's the Tony Pollard situation.
I'd certainly want to sign him now, because if he, with this move to the West Coast offense that's been heralded, I mean, that's only going to play to his strengths. I mean, you in the passing game, you'll use every inch of the field, and that'll mean Tony coming out the backfield, coming out into a slot, whatever. So that only increases value, if nothing else. Yeah. And if he has a major performance this year, what are you going to do? Tag him again, and you'll be basically paying him $24 million over 2 years. You might as well do a 3-year deal, $24 million or something like that. Give him 12-14 million up front as a signing bonus, a little bit guarantee for the first year or so, and then he gets his money and that's him happy. So
yeah. Pollard's a tricky one, because like you was attesting to that, the big stopping gap is the injury. That is where it starts and begins and ends, really.
See, for me, right, the whole thing with Tony Pollard is, right, are we even going to get a full season out of him under this franchise tag? That's my problem. So we're going to have to now draft a running back. And before anyone says it, I do not, and I'm going to say it, I do not want Bijan Robinson. I don't want him. I don't want to draft. I think there's a much more higher need at certain other positions.
And you've got Malik.
Like,
Don't forget.
don't forget Malik. But also, there is some really good other running backs you can get in the second and third rounds. So we can go by this running back by committee style, which we saw with like Kansas City and the Eagles right now. They don't have a star running back, but look what they've been doing. Like, so I don't see why can't we just do it. We don't need waste a first round draft pick on a running back. But when it comes to Tony Pollard, and going back to what Lauren's saying, I'd rather we get him in a longer term contract now, because if we don't, we're going to be in a much more weird situation come next year.
Yeah. It's a strange one. And here's a good question as well, is that they said, where were we? It was Brian, I think, that said it. That if they draft Bijan Robinson, do they withdraw the tag then from Tony?
Of course.
That is an option.
Only if Tony hasn't signed the tender sheet. As soon as Tony signs that tender sheet, that's it. So, at the moment, because I think as well, I read it's the non-exclusive franchise tag. So he can still speak to other people. Obviously, the asking price is a couple of draft picks if somebody signs him to an offer sheet and we don't match the contract. So he could still go, but if he sees that we are looking at somebody like Bijan or Spears or somebody like that, I'd be in that door. I'd be on my crutches. I'd be hobbling in, and I'd be signing that sheet as quickly as possible and get my 10 million in the bank.
Tell you what, give me Gibbs, give me Arcane from Texas A&M. I'd be happy one of those two guys, like in the second round or something like that. I just wouldn't want to waste it on the first round draft pick. Like we wouldn't even address the issue in regards to what's happened to Jonathan Hankins and the defense and interior right now. There's really good defensive interior tackles in this draft as well, or in free agents as well. So there's a lot of moving pieces still we need to figure out.
Hey, Paul, have you seen this kid from Clemson, Brian Breesy?
Yes.
Breesy. That's I got him on my wish list. And the reason why I got him on my wish list is because of the kid is a mountain of a human being. If you go back to his high school, if you can go to YouTube and look at any of his high school tapes, this kid was a monster coming out of high school, but in college, he had injuries, big guy.
That's the trouble.
Yeah, the injuries was one thing, but I do believe that he could be a massive, 3 technique for us. Yeah. He's a guy, and that's what you need in Dan Quinn's system. Dan Quinn's system requires a big guy that can gobble up blocks and allow LVE and our linebacking core to shed and run. And that's why you saw the best version of LVE, because guys like Carlos Watkins, to me, Carlos Watkins was the MVP of the defense. And nobody's going to give him this, but I'm telling you, Carlos Watkins, for what he did for our linebackers, man, he just allowed those guys to play downhill and do what they needed. Yep. We need another guy like that. Thank God we were able to get Hankins in, man, because I like Hankins, but we need a big guy. We need a big guy like that in the middle.
A two-gapper is what we really need. Yeah, straight in the middle. My issue with Breesy is just the injury history, and because you see in Clemson his sophomore year, fantastic, gets the injury, and he's a totally different player. Then just like sharpness and the burst just seems to have declined, and that's what scares me. I just feel I don't know. Obviously, the medicals are the big part, I think, for Brian Breesy, which we never see. So,
there's other guys out there. There's Sayeki Iker from Baylor, and there's Maggie Smith from Michigan. But I just want to bring up Labas's comment. How can a defensive interior be a defensive end? Like, he's making a reference to Tackle Charlton now. I'm just a wee bit baffled by your comment, Labas. Not to have a go at you, but just different position.
The question
I'm wondering if he's saying is it something
he's got a flop
and fails in his
that's a fair point of view.
The question I've got for you guys, given that he seems to be on a downward spiral the same way Laramie Tunsil is, would you take Jalen Carter if he was available at 26? He's got the tape. but
tricky one.
there's the whole off the field issues, and then he didn't do well yesterday in his pro day. He tapped out halfway through the positional drills. It's not looking good for him at the moment, and he might as well put the gas mask on.
Would I take Jalen Carter?
Oh, yeah.
If he's
I'm
at
sure.
26, I don't see why not. Even though he's had a bit of a fall, he's had he's not been doing well recently.
I think, to be honest with you, with what Carter's had as well as his pro day, I think he tumbles a little bit, but I still think he doesn't get to 26.
Yeah.
What about Cansey from Pittsburgh?
I like him a lot.
Yeah.
What happens to me,
I like
Paul,
Cansey.
when I see guys from Pittsburgh, and maybe it's just their uniform.
Yeah,
I always fool myself into thinking I'm looking at Aaron Donald. And that's not Aaron Donald.
Yeah.
I saw, and I think about a guy that got drafted by he got drafted by Minnesota. I can't think of his name to save my life. He ended up he got shot, man, somewhere. I think if you remember this guy, he ended up, he got shot. He got out of he wasn't in the league, but he was another D tackle from Pittsburgh. They're pumping out some really good defensive tackles in Pittsburgh. But the kid that you're talking about, no, he's awesome. I like him. I like him as well. Breesy, to me, when I brought him up, it's just his size. What intrigues me about him is his freakish. He's 6'5", 325 pounds. He's a big old monster of a person. And, even with the knee injury that you were mentioning, I just think that he's one of those guys that you rehab him and you bring him in, you may have something. Maybe not in the first round. Maybe if he does slip to the second, I don't know. But you're in an interesting spot if you're the Cowboys at 26 on what you actually do. Because now you pick up Stephon Gilmore, right? You got Stephon Gilmore as your other corner, which is a great free agent acquisition. Him and Trayvon Diggs, they are going to be crazy together. But what if you get a guy like Porter that's slipping in the draft? What if Porter slips in the draft? Do you pull the trigger on the young guy? Because Porter is a guy that's going to come in and play immediately. Jalen Twyman, whoever said that, you're a clutch. Jalen Twyman was the name. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, because that was a question, and you've answered it. Because I've already said this, and I got a little bit of backlash. And I've said, look, Stephon Gilmore, fantastic, right? Yeah. Does two things. Puts Deron Bland back in the slot, which is where he's best, which I like. Yeah. Gives you that option on the outside so how teams as we say, passing league, apparently. So they're going to have to throw it to somebody. So it's going to be Diggs, Gilmore, or Bland. I'm not fancying my chances there. But I still think, right, and you can shout at me if you want, but I've said it still doesn't put you out of a cornerback in the first round.
I completely agree. Yeah, I completely agree because, Gilmore's on a 1-year contract. We're not looking to extend him or anything like that. He's 33 years old. He's been in the league 12 years. Yeah, he was I think I'd read somewhere he was something like the 9th best in coverage last year. But, at some point he's going to hit the wall and drop off. And at some point he's going to want to retire and move on to other things as well. He'll want to do something else. But he can be that presence in the locker room, get guys schooled up for next year, and you get service out of him this year. You get somebody that's teaching these guys, bring somebody in that you can deal with them. We're already talking that, obviously, boss man Fats probably burned his bridges. He's probably, if he doesn't perform in camp this year, he'll be shown the door. So you got to bring somebody else on. Nashawn Wright, unfortunately, he had a good game and then they went somewhere else towards the end of last season as well.
Just fucking physicality, Nashawn.
Yeah.
Do you know what's ironic? If you mixed Kelvin Joseph and Nashawn Wright together, you got the perfect cornerback.
You do.
Which is wild. But here's a question for you on Kelvin Joseph that I heard on the grapevine, Hackman. Tell me if this is wrong or not. But there are questions they asked of him last season as to his actual commitment to football, that he's turning up to meetings late, he's not taking everything in, he doesn't seem that interested. Is that true or not?
You know, a lot of that stuff, they try and keep it in-house. It ends up leaking out about guys. I think from the beginning with his legal issues, you started to question his commitment to football because of the off the field stuff, and also the fact that he's a rapper, right? He's someone that has a music career. And some of these things just don't go together when you talk about your commitment to what you have to be in football. And I think that's where you start to question Kelvin Joseph. His immaturity, I think, is the biggest question mark. I think so. If you're the front office, you are going to question his dedication to football because of all those things that he has going on, plus what's happening off the field with the incident, right? But I don't know, Mike. Listen, my thing with him is when he's been given his opportunities, what has he done? And he ain't done a lot. And that's why.
Fantastic on special teams.
Well, I don't think you draft a guy in the second round to
is the problem.
Special teams ace. You want him to play, and I think the Gilmore. I think that's an indictment on him. Bringing Stephon in is basically saying that we don't feel as comfortable as we should about our young guys. Nahshon Wright, to me, is I've been pulling for him because, guys, he has all the intangibles. You're talking about size. I mean,
length.
He's just. I'm telling you, watch him in practice. He's really a good player, but it just hadn't correlated to on the field. I ask questions like guys like Israel Mukwamo. Now that Donovan Wilson has been signed, what is that going to mean for guys like that? And I mean, we've brought on some other safeties, like the safety room, the cornerback room. These are filling up, and I do believe that the Dallas Cowboys are still going to draft a cornerback and a safety this year.
You think safety too?
I don't see them passing up a good player. I just don't.
I suppose, that's a good point. Yeah, I agree with that. And I think with Nahshon, that you just want him to be more physical, especially at the line, say like when he's in man or press man, and you just don't see it. It's, for a guy that size, it's odd to see. And I'm with you, Heckma. I was really pushing for him. And when they drafted him as early as they did, I thought, well, maybe perhaps there's something there. Maybe they've seen something. And that's what we're hoping we'll get. But we never did. And, with Israel Mukwamo, I think we've seen their plan that he's not going to be a safety. They're going to try and put him into that cornerback position to be that he's going to be your fourth corner. So it's gonna be a bit crazy to see when things kick off at camp, especially if they do draft a corner, which I'm with you. I certainly do think that that's going to happen. But let's get to the other side though. Let's talk wide receiver, and then we'll wrap it up on that. OBJ or DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, we're back here. Now, obviously, they didn't go to the workouts. No Dallas Cowboys coach went to the workouts to go and see him. I think a lot of it is based on the medicals with OBJ, which is what the Cowboys are on about. But today, it's been dropped that there is a little bit of momentum gathering with OBJ and the Dallas Cowboys talk. What have you heard over there, Hackman?
They have literally been tight-lipped about OBJ from the moment they brought him in last season. I thought that I seriously, he came to the facility, he rode on the helicopter. We saw him, Jerry's, he went to the Mavericks game, he sits with all the guys. How do you not? I mean, come on, man. You tell him you guys have been to your guy over here has been to the Paul has been to the Star. He knows once you get in the building, you don't want to leave, right?
No, certainly don't.
You don't want to leave. So I love the Odell Beckham talk, and I think he would be a quality player on our team. But let's just go back to how Odell Beckham got his Super Bowl ring. He got a Super Bowl ring because he went to a team that already had an established wide receiver. Okay. A guy that they were already saying that he is our number one guy. CeeDee Lamb for a lot of last year he had to prove himself to be that number one receiver. And I think he did. I really did. I thought towards the end of the season, he started to show you how dynamic he could be. How does that mix with Odell Beckham? How healthy is Odell Beckham? Which version of Odell Beckham are we going to get? Now, I would like to believe that Michael Gallup is going to be a lot healthier, and that you put these three together, you may have a dynamic mix. But no matter what the Cowboys decide to do, guys, this is my stance on it, and it ain't changing. The Cowboys need a wide receiver that can get some separation. Period. If they don't get a wide receiver that can get separation, I don't want him. And here's the thing to me about D-Hop. I love D-Hop. I love the career that he's had. But at this point in time in his career, I don't see him as being a wide receiver that's going to get you that separation. That I'm saying that because Paul, Lauren, and Mike, Dak needs wide receivers that can get separation.
That's what he likes.
D-Hop needs a quarterback that can throw into tight windows.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that.
That is so true.
We don't have that,
absolutely
man.
True.
So that's my opinion on it.
And obviously, with the other thing as well, is OBJ is already a free agent. He's beholden to nobody. We would have to trade to get Hopkins in as well. And also, like you say, you got to know what type of OBJ you're getting, because he is, he's Mr. Slant. He is a slant, but nobody runs the slant better than OBJ. And when you think with the West Coast offense that they're trying to implement, that fits perfectly fine. That works. And like you say, with DeAndre Hopkins, how is that going to look? How will that work on that type of offense that Mike McCarthy's looking to implement? But go on, Ron. I interrupted you before you got in there.
No, just as you say, I mean, everything you said there, Hopkins is under contract, Odell's free, the whole thing about slants, run after catch, you want Dak thrown to the open man in open space and get the yards after catch. So, I'd much rather Odell Beckham if the medicals are all right. If they're all signed off, then go for Odell Beckham. I'm certainly not wanting to give up if Arizona are asking for a first rounder for him. I mean, it's conflicting reports. It started off at a third rounder. It now seems to be up to a first rounder. Maybe that's Dallas premium again. I don't know.
Yeah. But that's the big one.
You want somebody who does 5 years, and you're not going to get that out of somebody. Both of these guys are 30 years old.
Exactly.
If you're trading for one, you want a 5. You'd ideally want more than 1 year, and you're not going to get that from these guys.
And I've heard Arizona want a first.
Yeah,
I'm not throwing a different name in the hat, and
I like a different name.
Because he is currently a free agent now. Adam Thielen.
It's the age again. You're going down the road.
But yeah, I know, but it does kind of bring some good experience, and I don't think it'll be as expensive as Odell and D-Hop.
I like Adam Thielen. I think Adam Thielen is a bona fide possession receiver. He's a guy that doesn't mind doing the dirty work also. So that's the part about Adam Thielen. But I think the same thing these guys bring up. You're getting a guy that's a little bit older, and we saw, Paul, when this offense just lacked explosiveness, it just, oh man, it looked so bad when we saw how, look at it like this. Philadelphia was a big play factory. Everything that they did, and you watch all of 2022, it was teams making the big play. The Cowboys, number one in scoring, number one in all these statistical categories, and then you look at it with your eyes and you're saying, but we just don't look that explosive. We don't. Wait a minute, we're number one.
How is it?
What did we do to become number one? And especially when it came down to the playoffs, it's like our offense was just stuck in the mud. And that's where I think Cowboy fans are just like, well, I don't want another one of these guys that's coming in here that has all this. He had great days before. I need a guy to come in here and be a playmaker, be a dog. Can we, in the red zone, can we throw him a 50-50 ball? In the red, can he get open? Can we get yards after catch? Do all of these guys possess that? And that's what I'm looking for.
So the yards after catch thing is something that I want to mention about regards to guys in the draft. If there's one guy I really do like the looks of, is Josh Downs from North Carolina.
Yeah.
I do like the look of him. Like, I think he would bring that little bit of speed. Same with like say Flowers as well, but I think he'll be gone before 26.
Speed is what they need.
Separation. Yeah, definitely. We just need a lot of fast legs in our wide receiver core right now.
Yeah, and something that exploded just this afternoon on my Twitter was the argument about drafting a tight end in the first.
Are you talking about Kincaid? No.
Any of the main guys, really? Any of them? Would you draft Washington, Mayer, Musgrave?
I would draft Washington in a heartbeat.
Thank you very much. I knew you would come to defend me. See, I defended you on your donut on fantasy. You defended me on my Washington take. Thank you very much. I would take him too. I mean, because it's not just. And my argument is go back, right, and you say, right, who are the best tight ends in the league? And you go Kelsey, Kittle, Dallas Goedert. Where were those teams in the playoffs this year? Where did they finish?
Yeah, deep.
You see what I mean? You get the right guy. They can take on quite a lot of that offense for you, and they can be like that mismatch that will work. Because I do like Ferguson and Hendershot. Don't get me wrong on what they did, but I just think there's for both of them, they're missing it's obvious when they're on the field what they're going to do. That's how I feel about it.
Ferguson, I don't know about you guys, man. I'm in love with Ferguson. I love this kid. I'm in love with him. And I think that he is the second coming. And
yes,
look, unless like to me, Washington, because of his schematics, all of those things make him attractive to us. But I think that's going to handicap your offense in a lot of ways because you're just going to say, look, we're just concentrating on the middle of the field. I don't know about his separation, so to speak. Ferguson, to me, and Hendershot, McKeon, whatever. These guys, the three of them, I think they get it done. I think they're really good blockers as well, especially if you're going to go to that West Coast system. But you'd have to be for the 26th pick. We really have got to get a guy we got to get a playmaker there. We got to get a bona fide, and it can't be a project.
Someone someone from day one is there to set the tempo. Pretty much, that's it. Doesn't whether it's a defensive tackle, wide receiver, even O-line. Who knows? Even in our linebacker, we don't even know. Like, there's so many possibilities. It's like literally his best player available. I think this year. Yeah, I think.
No, I had Nolan Smith dropped to me today in a mock draft, so I was very happy with that.
Yeah, there's no chance of that happening in real life. I don't think after his combine performance.
No, not in real life. But yeah, so I mean, the only other part I wanted to touch on was that obviously we managed to retain Terrence Steele, Donovan Wilson, Leighton Vander Esch, and CJ Goodwin today. Big signings. I think the biggest one for me, and I said it all along about Leighton Vander Esch needs to come in, but to me, I actually think retaining Donovan Wilson was more important than LVE.
I think so. I would have said Terrence Steele.
Possibly. I just didn't look at what he did as a defensive playmaker in the secondary.
True.
And
no,
what that did Malik Hooker.
I do agree, but you saw the impact also with Terrence Steele when he was not
there. That is true. That's true. He's the other side of it.
I'm going to add a spin on this. Because
go on. I like a hack and spin.
I got a spin because I love Terrence Steele. I think you get a guy, again, like I told you, I have an affinity for underdogs, guys that come out of nowhere and end up being everything that you want. That's why I was so pissed off that we got something happened to Connor McGovern. I'm like, dude, we get this guy, we build him up to what he is, and then we ship him off somewhere else. But anyway, I digress. But when it comes down to Donovan Wilson and Anthony Brown, I'm not the biggest Anthony Brown and Donovan Wilson fans, and I'll tell you why. I watched these guys before Dan Quinn got here, and I remember them as players. And I said, like Donovan Wilson, to me, I was like, this guy will knock you out. Okay,
big hair.
He will come to the line of scrimmage, and he brings every part of himself to the party. But then I watch him in coverage against guys like Dallas Goedert, against guys like Kittle. Now, we just talked about how this is converting into a passing league. Offensive coordinators are trying to find your weakness. And I don't think that you're going to find much weakness in Curse and his ability, Hooker and his ability. Who else is there? The only one is Donovan Wilson. And look, I don't, as a run stopper, I think he's that guy. But in pass, that's where I have my questions. That's the only thing.
I agree with you. He's down in the box safety for definite. But I just look at, like, when you think of Malik Hooker, right? And what he was in college, like what Malik Hooker was in college was phenomenal. Like, that was mind-blowing to watch.
Yeah.
And then he comes into the NFL. It's not bad, but he's hit with injury. I actually think last season, what you've seen from Malik Hooker was almost what he was in college. Not quite. Yeah. Still got a little bit of way to go.
Okay.
And I think some of that, his ability for what Hooker could do as that center fielder, was down to Donovan Wilson playing down in the box.
I agree.
And that's why it was so important to me.
No, I think that's a good point. But I also believe that when you have a player like Micah Parsons, Dorrance Armstrong, Sam Williams, and you have this young contingent of players that's going to put pressure on the quarterback. You got the thing is that Dan Quinn wants to play pressure, and wait on you to make mistakes on the backside, right? And that's why when you have a Trayvon Diggs and now Stephon Gilmore, that tightens all of that airspace in this defense. The only weakness that any team is going to have to exploit is going to be in our safeties. And that's why I say that. And when you use the term box safety, that's to imply that he can't cover.
It is definitely. I mean, you're talking to a Texas A&M fan, so I've seen what Donovan.
So you know,
So I've seen it with him, but I just think like Malik Hooker was just right up there in what he was doing. And I think in part of that as well is being Cowboys fans, we're always waiting for the safety to come back along since the days. And we were almost there. We're almost there.
I think Donovan Wilson, realized though as well that, this is the scheme for him, because having three safeties on the field in some situations, which is a Dan Quinn staple in this defense, that allows Curse to come down and almost be the sort of Darren Woodson style cover corner for the slot stroke tight end. You've then got Malik Hooker can freelance and be the backstop almost, and then you've got almost a linebacker in Donovan Wilson. The one thing about Donovan Wilson, though, is prior to Dan Quinn being here, he still was hitting the guys, but 9 times out of 10, he was knocking himself out as well. So
there was a lot of that going on.
Money, and he's going to be sitting on the sideline because he's knocked himself out. And you just hope that, the further this goes, that you don't get something like the Roy Williams rule where, again, they crack down on head-to-head collisions or something like that, that takes him out of the game. So
that's great that you say that, because I think I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die on this hill by myself when it comes down to the way that NFL teams play defense. Gone are the days of the Baltimore Ravens that you could just the Pittsburgh Steelers where you could just come out the guys. They won't allow you to play that physical brand of football anymore. But the Dallas Cowboys are gonna have to be committed to playing a version of it. I don't know what it is. They're gonna have to play a version of because that's the one thing that I think was missing from this defense was that kind of just. We saw it in spurts, right? We saw it in spurts where they were bringing in Cincinnati games, some of those close games that with the Rams game, they were bringing some bona fide heat, but they are going to have to bring this up a lot more. Micah Parsons, to me, in order to get the best version of him out that we want, man, we're going to have to allow this guy to roam and be in several
100%.
places. And I think that's why Donovan Wilson re-signing makes that even better for Micah Parsons because Lauren, like you just said, he is a linebacker. He's a linebacker. And so we've been playing with three linebackers all season. Three safeties all season because of what we do with our linebackers. And that's why I'm intrigued by what we're going to do with you. I've heard a lot of whispers of maybe a Bobby Wagner signing, things like, guys like that. Do we bring in a veteran linebacker that can kind of work and guide these guys through all these special things that Dan Quinn wants them to do? Because he has so many different phases that he likes to play with. And maybe that's why Donovan Wilson signing was important.
Definitely. And to tie in with that is the Leighton Van Der Esch as well, because that also keeps Micah Parsons roaming as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
But there we go, mate. Well, I did say we'd only keep you for an hour, and we've gone way over that, so I do apologize, H.
Look, Mike, here's the thing, man, about you guys, man. You asked me to come on the show. I'm going to come on the show. Anytime I tell you that I can't come on the show, I feel bad about it because, look, man, you guys have been rocking with me since the beginning. So just know, anytime you want me to come on and I'm available, dog, I'm here for you. So don't keep me for an hour. It's all good, man.
The first time we ever had you on was actually the 24-hour show.
Yes, and you guys were delirious, man. That was history in the making. You guys looked like hell that day, but y'all made it through it, and it was.
I know, but you know the only reason why we made it was I think we got Heckma on just at the right time.
Just the right time.
Decline, and you brought us back up.
How much you need?
I have to say, Heckma's going above and beyond the Call of Duty today because his daughter's turning 12 today, was it?
Yes. So my daughter, I got a 12-year-old. Like all of my kids, man. My wife had she took it upon herself to have them all in my birthday month. So my birthday is next week, next Tuesday. So my son turned 16 March 9th. My daughter just turned 12 today, and then I have a birthday. So
your 30th. I'll say it for you. Your 30th birthday, Hack.
My 30th, 30 for the 30th time.
I don't know if you guys have just seen this, but Dov Kellerman put a tweet out about Broncos are asking for a first round or a high second round for Jared Judy.
Nah.
And the Cowboys have been tied to it.
It's over-evaluated. I'm sorry, I do not want Judy, if that's the case.
Nah, I wouldn't.
Nah. Judy hasn't transpired in the effort. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd take a heartbeat.
But Stephon Diggs,
that's the money.
That's a whole nother subject. But you guys are gonna get me in trouble. I've been throwing out names of guys on other teams. I'm telling you, if Derek Eagleton is listening to this, man, I'm telling you, I got to pay fines all over the place.
So here we go then, right? So you are the GM, Hackma, and then we're gonna let you get out of here. You are so, and I've done this with you before, so you know the drill, yeah. So Jerry Jones has hired you as the GM. Hackma, he's got his own corner office and everything else.
Oh God!
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, we're getting all the inside information off you too.
I'm calling you first.
So the Cowboys are on the clock at pick number 26. Hackma Harrison is on the phone. He is taking
Porter Jr.
I like it.
I'm taking Porter Jr. That's who I'm taking.
Yeah, I do like it. I've done a scouting report on him. Yeah, he's solid. His dad was just the same.
Yeah, no, I'm not even confusing him. His dad was a different species and animal altogether.
True.
I mean, that's where we have to start separating these fathers and sons that have played in NFL. Joey Porter was a different animal, but his son plays he plays ball the right way. If you've seen him at Penn State, one thing I like about him is he will put his nose in there. He is a tackler. He's physical at the line of scrimmage, and he's a Dan Quinn prototype. He's a guy that can sit back and play zone. He's a guy that can play. He can do it all, man. I like him.
And plays the run too.
Boom.
Which is what we were missing. No, I like it. So we're going to let you get out of here, Hackman, and we're going to just go run all the adverts. So we'll leave you to it and get to your daughter's birthday party. You'll have to tell her that everyone from the UK said happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday.
Oh, God, that's so special, guys. Hey, Paulie, the teeth look wonderful. Lauren, always good to see you, my brother. Mike, anytime.
We'll get some beers in November when we're out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We're out. Out with you in November.
We're all coming in November. We're all coming.
I heard. I saw it. I mean, you guys got the Sam Williams as the ambassador for that whole thing. I like it.
We're going to try and get as many UK Cowboys fans to come over with us as well. So
got a good group so far. It's about 15 so far.
That's going to be awesome, guys. That's going to
be awesome. I spoke to Derek Eagleton about it.
You did?
Yeah. And you know what Derek's like.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So, look, guys, I'm looking forward to it. But anytime, man, it's been fun, man. I'll holler at y'all.
Yeah, I'm gonna press you for more info, so don't worry. I'll be bothering you as always, man.
He lives in my DMs. Y'all be good. All right, bye.
There, man.
That was the great Hackma. So yes, we will be back on Tuesday, where we got another prospect project. We're gonna be looking at wide receivers, so that will be quite interesting. Paul, because you came in late, you can finish us out. Give it to him.
Yeah, guys. So if you're planning on to a Dallas Cowboys game this season, please sure to go with cowboysexperience.com, where you get the meet and greets, stadium tours, game tickets, and ultimate tailgating experiences, and much, much more.
Yeah, boy. And you can do that one as well.
Yeah, guys, and also be sure to go and follow our fellow content creators. As you know, that they hit us on the Dallas Cowboys Network. Checking out the other shows like the Hanging the Boys, Talking Cowboys. Go and check out likes of J-Tup with CFO Sports, Big Game James, Cowboys Can Fan, our friends from Canada, and many more.
Yeah, boy. And then you can finish this out on that one, Lorne.
Right. Okay. Well, as we've alluded to there, we're all descending on Dallas on Thanksgiving. Get in contact again with Cowboys Experience. Get your tickets booked. And we'll see you there.
Yeah. So we're gonna get out of here. Leave you guys to it. Have a great weekend and stay safe, as we always say. And we'll catch you on the Tuesday, same time. I'm gonna let these guys finish it out. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, have a great weekend, guys, and see you next week.
Dallas forever, Philly forever, as always. Booyah!
Words aren't real.
And we'll just give a shout out to all the MVPs of the show as well.
Yeah.
You are the MVPs of our show. Thank you very much, guys. You're fantastic. See you again.